Lieutenant Colonel Marcus Kane dismissed her, with barely a glance at her personnel file. "Listen, Sergeant Williams, you're medical support. Your job is to patch up Marines, not play soldier. Leave the tactical decisions to those of us who actually know what we're doing." 12 hours later, when enemy sniper fire had pinned down Bravo Company for 4 hours and conventional solutions had failed, Sergeant Elena Williams would deliver 3 confirmed kills at ranges exceeding 800 meters with a borrowed M40A6, using nothing but Kentucky windage and mathematical calculations performed in her head while under direct fire. The forward operating base at Camp Rhino buzzed with pre-deployment activity as Sergeant Elena Williams, 28, adjusted her medical pack and checked her supplies for the 3rd time that morning. At 5'6", with an unremarkable build, brown hair pulled back in regulation style, and steel-gray eyes that seemed to catalog everything, she moved through the organized chaos with quiet efficiency. Her combat medic badge caught the harsh Afghan sunlight, the only decoration on her ACUs that suggested anything beyond routine support duties. "Williams," Staff Sergeant Rodriguez called out from across the staging area. "You're riding with Bravo Company on the patrol to Objective Falcon. Stay in the middle of the column, keep your head down, and remember, you're there to fix Marines, not fight Taliban." Elena nodded professionally. "Understood, Staff Sergeant. Medical support, rear echelon." What Rodriguez didn't know, what wasn't in any official file that crossed his desk, was that Elena Williams had grown up on a ranch in Wyoming, where her grandfather, a Marine sniper from Vietnam, had taught her to calculate wind drift and bullet drop before she could drive. Her father, a retired Army Ranger, had continued the education with advanced ballistics theory and precision marksmanship. By age 16, she was consistently hitting targets at 1-0 yards with iron sights. The convoy briefing took place in a sweltering tent where Captain James Morrison, Bravo Company commander, outlined the mission parameters. "We're conducting a reconnaissance patrol to establish overwatch positions on Hill 394. Intelligence indicates minimal enemy presence, but will maintain standard tactical protocols. Estimated time on target, 800 hours. Duration, 6 hours maximum." Elena studied the tactical maps over the shoulders of the riflemen, her gray eyes tracing elevation contours and noting wind patterns indicated by the meteorological data. The terrain was challenging broken ground, with multiple concealed positions and a commanding view of the valley approach. Perfect sniper country. Lieutenant Peterson, the platoon leader, glanced at Elena with barely concealed irritation. "Sergeant Williams, you'll establish a casualty collection point approximately 200 meters behind the forward positions. If we need you, we'll call." "Roger that, sir." As the Marines conducted final weapons checks, Elena quietly examined the unit's organic sniper riflein, M40A6, carried by Lance Corporal Davis. The weapon was pristine, properly zeroed according to the data book, with high-quality loopholed optics. She noted the ammunition. Federal gold medal match 175-grain boat, tail hollow points. Excellent ballistic coefficient. "Something wrong with my rifle, Doc?" Davis asked, using the universal nickname for medics. "Just appreciating the craftsmanship," Elena replied. "Beautiful weapon system. What's your confirmed range?" Davis puffed up slightly. "Got a Taliban commander at 647 yards last month. Not bad for government work." Elena nodded approvingly, though she'd been making shots at that distance since she was 17. The convoy rolled out at 630 hours, 4 up-armored Humvees, carrying 32 Marines across the desolate Afghan landscape. Elena rode in the third vehicle, monitoring radio chatter and studying the terrain through her window. The mountains rose like broken teeth against the cloudless sky, offering countless positions for enemy observation and engagement. At 755 hours, the convoy reached the base of Hill 394. Captain Morrison's voice crackled over the radio. "All call signs. This is Falcon 6. Dismount and establish overwatch positions as briefed. Falcon 7. Establish your casualty collection point at grid 41S PR 12,000, 345 67,890. Elena acknowledged and moved to her assigned position, a shallow depression, behind a cluster of boulders that offered protection from direct fire, but clear access to the forward positions. She established her aid station with practiced efficiency, medical supplies organized by priority, stretcher prepared, IV fluids secured against the heat. For 2 hours, the patrol proceeded without incident. Marines established observation posts along the ridgeline, while Elena monitored radio communications and updated her casualty cards. The temperature climbed toward 110 degrees, and the thin mountain air made every movement feel labored. At 1,023 hours, everything changed. The first shot came from nowhere, a supersonic crack that sent Lance Corporal Martinez spinning to the ground with a shoulder wound. Elena was moving before the sound of the gunshot reached them, but Captain Morrison's voice stopped her cold. All positions, take cover. Sniper contact. Direction unknown. Falcon 7, stay in position until we locate the shooter. Elena crouched behind her boulder, watching Martinez crawl toward cover while blood soaked his ACUs. Her medical instincts screamed to move, but tactical discipline held her in place. The sniper was hunting, and movement meant death. Staff Sergeant Chen's voice cut through the radio chatter. Falcon 6, this is Falcon 2, 1. I've got eyes on muzzle flash. Enemy sniper position approximately 850 meters, bearing 285 degrees. Elevated position in the rock formation. Captain Morrison responded immediately. Falcon 2, 1. Engage with available assets. Roger. Davis, you have the shot. Elena watched through her field glasses as Lance Corporal Davis moved into firing position, his Mofer 6 steady on its bipod. The range was extreme, well beyond the typical engagement distance for the weapon system, especially in these environmental conditions. Davis worked the calculations, adjusting his scope for elevation and windage. At 850 meters, the 175-grain Federal Gold Medal match would drop approximately 23.8 MOA, requiring significant elevation adjustment. The wind, gusting at 12-15 miles per hour from the west, would induce additional drift. His first shot impacted low and left. The enemy sniper responded immediately, placing accurate fire on Davis's position and forcing him to relocate. Falcon 2, 1. This is Falcon 6. Status report. Miss. Target is well protected and returning accurate fire, requesting permission to reposition for better angle. As Davis moved, the enemy sniper's attention shifted to other Marines attempting to maneuver. Private Johnson took a round through the thigh. Then Corporal Adams caught shrapnel from a near miss that shattered rock inches from his head. Elena watched the tactical situation deteriorate. The Marines were effectively pinned down by a single enemy shooter who commanded the high ground with superior range and protection. Conventional counter-sniper tactics required either close air support unavailable due to weather conditions or indirect fire support, which wasn't authorized in this area due to civilian concerns. Lieutenant Peterson's frustration bled through the radio. Falcon 6, we've been pinned down for 45 minutes. We need solutions. Captain Morrison's response carried the weight of command responsibility. Roger. Falcon 2. Continue attempts to neutralize the target. Air support is 20 minutes out. 20 minutes. Elena calculated casualties. Martinez was losing blood despite field dressings. Johnson needed immediate evacuation to prevent shock, and Adams had potential internal injuries from the rock fragments. Every minute of delay increased the risk of preventable deaths. She keyed her radio handset. Falcon 6, this is Falcon 7. Request permission to attempt long-range engagement. The response came immediately from Lieutenant Peterson. Negative, Falcon 7. Your medical support. Stay in position and prepare to treat casualties. Elena watched Davis attempt another shot. This time, the bullet impacted closer, perhaps 18 inches from the target, but the enemy sniper remained protected by his elevated rock position. The return fire was immediate and accurate, forcing Davis to abandon his position entirely. Staff Sergeant Chen's voice carried barely controlled anger. Falcon 6, conventional engagement, is ineffective. Target has superior position and is using military-grade equipment. We need heavy weapons or air support. Understood. Falcon 2. 1. Continue suppression attempts. Air support, inbound, in 15 minutes. 15 minutes. Elena did the mathematics. Blood loss rates, shock progression, evacuation timelines. Without immediate intervention, they would lose Marines to preventable deaths. She keyed the radio again. Falcon 6. This is Falcon 7. I have a solution. Captain Morrison's response was sharp. Falcon 7, you are medical personnel. Your job is to treat wounded, not engage the enemy. Stay in your lane. Elena looked at Martinez, whose field dressings were soaked through with blood. She thought about her grandfather's words. Sometimes, kiddo, the best medicine is stopping the person who's creating the casualties. She keyed the radio one final time. Falcon 6, with respect, sir. I understand the tactical requirements. Request permission to engage with available sniper system. I can make the shot. Lieutenant Peterson's voice cut through before Captain Morrison could respond. Negative, Sergeant Williams. That's an 850-meter shot in mountain terrain with unknown wind conditions. The mathematics make it virtually impossible, even for a trained sniper. Your job is medical support. Elena looked at the M40A6 that Davis had left behind during his tactical movement. She calculated wind speed at 14 miles per hour, gusting to 18. Temperature, 108 degrees Fahrenheit. Humidity, 12%. Elevation, 247 feet above sea level. Range to target, 847 meters according to her laser rangefinder. The enemy sniper chose that moment to demonstrate his own capabilities, placing 3 precise shots that kept Staff Sergeant Chen's squad completely suppressed behind inadequate cover. Elena made her decision. Without requesting further permission, Elena low-crawled to Davis's abandoned position. The M40A6 lay exactly where he'd left it, the loopholed scope still set for his last engagement attempt. She quickly checked the weapon systems. Bolt operation smooth, safety functional, magazine fully loaded with Federal Gold Medal Match 175 grain ammunition. Falcon 7, what's your position? Lieutenant Peterson's voice carried immediate suspicion. Elena ignored the radio and began her calculations. Range, 847 meters. The Federal Gold Medal Match 175 grain bullet had a muzzle velocity of 650 feet per second. At 847 meters, she calculated bullet drop at approximately 24.2 MOA, requiring significant scope adjustment. Wind speed averaged 16 miles per hour from the west, creating a drift of approximately 3.1 MOA at that distance. But the real challenge was the elevated target position. The enemy sniper had chosen a rocky outcropping that provided excellent protection while offering only a minimal target silhouette. Elena estimated the available target area at perhaps 18 inches head and shoulders when he exposed himself to engage. She adjusted the scope elevation to 24 MOA and windage to 3 MOA right, then settled into a stable prone position behind the weapon system. Through the loopholed optics, she could see the enemy position clearly, a shadowed cleft in the rocks where muzzle flash had betrayed the sniper's location. Falcon 7, return to your position immediately. Captain Morrison's voice carried the full authority of command. Elena keyed her radio with her left hand, while maintaining her sight picture. Falcon 6. I have positive identification on the target. Request permission to engage. Negative. You are not qualified for long-range engagement. Return to medical duties immediately. Through her scope, Elena watched the enemy sniper's position. She'd been observing his pattern. He would expose himself for approximately 4 seconds to acquire and engage targets, then withdraw to covered position for 12 to 15 seconds before reappearing. The timing was consistenta professional, displaying tactical discipline. She controlled her breathing, feeling her heart rate slow as her grandfather's training took over. 400 meters, 600, 800, 847 meters. The mathematics were clean in her mind. 24.2 MOA elevation, 3.1 MOA windage, target exposure time 4 seconds. Weapon system, zeroed at 100 meters, with documented accuracy of 0.75 MOA. The enemy sniper appeared in her crosshairs, his rifle seeking new targets among the pinned Marines. Elena had perhaps 3 seconds to make the shot. She exhaled halfway, held her breath, and squeezed the trigger with steady rearward pressure. The Ma-40A6 recoiled against her shoulder as the 175-grain bullet left the muzzle at 650 feet per second. Flight time, 1.2 seconds. Through her scope, Elena watched the bullet's impact. The enemy sniper dropped immediately and completely, his rifle clattering down the rock face. Confirmed kill, she announced over the radio. Target neutralized. The silence that followed lasted perhaps 5 seconds before Staff Sergeant Chen's voice broke through. Holy shit. Falcon 7. Did you just make an 847-meter shot? Elena was already working the bolt, chambering a fresh round as she scanned for additional threats. Affirmative. Falcon 2, 1. One enemy Kia, long-range precision fire. Captain Morrison's voice carried a mixture of amazement and disbelief. Falcon 7, confirm your last transmission. You engaged at what range? 847 meters, sir. Federal gold medal match, 175-grain ammunition, MISA-6 weapon system, physics and applied mathematics. Lieutenant Peterson's voice was barely controlled. That's impossible. The ballistic calculations alone. Elena interrupted professionally. Sir, with respect, the target is neutralized. Request permission to move to casualty collection and begin medical treatment of wounded personnel. Through her scope, she maintained an overwatch of the area while Marines began movement toward the wounded. There was no additional enemy contact. The sniper had been operating alone, as she'd suspected from his tactical patterns. Lance Corporal Davis reached her position first, staring at his Ma-40A6 in disbelief. Doc, what the hell? That was my rifle. How did you... Good weapon system. Elena replied matter-of-factly. Properly zeroed, quality optics, excellent ammunition selection. Just needed the right calculations for the environmental conditions. Staff Sergeant Chen appeared next, his expression mixing respect and confusion. Sergeant Williams, where did you learn to shoot like that? That was unfucking believable. Elena was already moving toward the wounded Marines, her medical pack in hand. Just doing my job, Staff Sergeant. Physics, applied mathematics, and practice. The after-action report would eventually be classified at a level that prevented its contents from appearing in any official records. What the Marines of Bravo Company witnessed that day challenged conventional understanding of both medical personnel limitations and long-range precision marksmanship capabilities. Lieutenant Peterson approached Elena as she completed treatment on Lance Corporal Martinez. The Marine would require evacuation for surgical intervention, but her immediate field medicine had prevented life-threatening blood loss. Sergeant Williams, Peterson began, his tone notably different from the dismissive attitude he'd displayed earlier. I owe you an apology. That shot, those calculations, I've never seen anything like it. Where did you receive advanced marksmanship training? Elena continued monitoring Martinez's vital signs while preparing him for helicopter evacuation. Family tradition, sir. My grandfather was a Marine sniper in Vietnam. My father served with the Rangers. They taught me that medicine and marksmanship both require precision, patience, and understanding of the underlying mathematics. Captain Morrison joined the conversation as the medical evacuation helicopter approached. Sergeant, what you accomplished today was extraordinary. That shot will be studied in advanced marksmanship courses. You saved Marines' lives not just through medical treatment, but by eliminating the threat that was preventing evacuation. Elena looked up from her patient with those steel-gray eyes that seemed to calculate everything. Sir, I respectfully request that the specifics remain classified. Medical personnel aren't supposed to engage in combat operations. I'd prefer to continue my primary mission without complications. Staff Sergeant Chen overheard and shook his head in amazement. Doc, you just made a shot that most professional snipers would consider impossible. 847 meters in mountain terrain with borrowed equipment and 30 seconds of preparation. That's not just marksmanship, that's mathematics, physics, and nerves of steel. As the helicopter lifted Martinez toward definitive medical care, Elena cleaned and returned the M40A6 to Lance Corporal Davis. Your weapon system performed excellently, she told him. Proper maintenance, quality optics, and good ammunition selection. The rest is just trigonometry. Davis examined his rifle as if seeing it for the first time. Doc, I've been shooting this weapon system for 3 years. What you did with it in 30 seconds, I couldn't make that shot with an hour of preparation and perfect conditions. Elena shouldered her medical pack and prepared for the return journey to base. Different training methods, different mathematical approach. Your marksmanship fundamentals are solid. The advanced ballistics are just additional calculations. The convoy returned to Camp Rhino without further incident, but word of Elena's shot spread through the base with the speed that extraordinary events generate in military communities. By evening chow, Marines who hadn't been present were discussing the impossible shot that the quiet medic had made. Lieutenant Colonel Kane, who had dismissed Elena's capabilities that morning, requested a private meeting in his office. Elena reported as ordered, expecting disciplinary action for exceeding her assigned medical support role. Sergeant Williams, Kane began, studying her personnel file with new interest. I've received some extraordinary reports about today's mission. Captain Morrison states that you engaged and eliminated an enemy sniper at 847 meters using conventional equipment under combat conditions. Is this accurate? Yes, sir. One enemy combatant, killed in action. Long-range precision fire. Kane leaned back in his chair. Your official military occupational specialty is 68W Combat Medic. Your file shows no advanced marksmanship training, no sniper school, no specialized weapons training. How do you explain capabilities that exceed our organic sniper assets? Elena maintained her professional posture. Family background, sir. Civilian marksmanship experience. Applied mathematics and physics principles. The fundamentals remain consistent, regardless of official training credentials. Sergeant, what you accomplished today will remain classified, as you requested. However, I want you to understand that your actions saved Marines' lives and demonstrated capabilities that could be invaluable to this unit. Have you considered advanced military training opportunities? Elena thought about her grandfather's words about service and sacrifice, her father's lessons about duty and humility. Sir, I enlisted to serve as a medic. My primary mission is saving lives through medical intervention. Today's engagement was an exception to prevent additional casualties. Kane nodded slowly. Understood. However, I want you to know that your capabilities haven't gone unnoticed. Outstanding work, Sergeant. 6 weeks later, Elena received new orders assignment to a specialized unit, whose mission parameters remained classified. Her departure from Bravo Company was marked by an informal gathering where Marines shared stories and expressed respect for the quiet medic, who had proven that extraordinary capabilities often hide behind unremarkable appearances. Lance Corporal Davis presented her with a ballistic calculatora, sophisticated device for computing long-range engagement parameters. "Doc, figured you might need this for your next assignment." Elena accepted the gift graciously, though her mental calculations remained faster and more accurate than any electronic device. "Thank you. Though, honestly, the mathematics aren't that complicated once you understand the underlying principles." Staff Sergeant Chen raised his coffee cup in an informal toast. To Sergeant William Shu, proved that the most dangerous person in any unit might be the one everyone underestimates. Elena's new assignment would involve responsibilities far beyond traditional medical support, though the specifics would never appear in any official documentation. Her grandfather's legacy of precision marksmanship, combined with her father's tactical expertise and her own mathematical aptitude, had created capabilities that transcended conventional military classifications. The Marines of Bravo Company would tell and retell the story of the medic who made the impossible shot, though official records would show only routine medical support activities during a reconnaissance patrol. Some stories become legend precisely because they challenge what people believe possible. Elena Williams would continue her service with the same quiet professionalism that had marked her career, carrying medical supplies and saving lives through traditional battlefield medicine. But those who served with her knew that behind her unremarkable appearance and steel-gray eyes lay capabilities that could change the outcome of any engagement. The enemy sniper, who had pinned down 32 Marines for 4 hours, had been eliminated by a single shot from someone he never saw, fired by a person whose primary mission was saving lives rather than taking them. In the mathematics of warfare, variables aren't always what they appear to be. Sometimes the most lethal weapon in any arsenal is the one nobody expects. Subscribe if you believe that extraordinary capabilities often hide behind ordinary appearances, and that underestimating someone based on their official job description can be a fatal mistake.